Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome to my channel. Today is week 8 of the Full Deck Challenge 4 for 2026. And the prompts for today are vintage papers, flowers, napkin, tab, scribbles, metallic, purple, white splatter. And as I was prepping for this, I was like, oh, let me pull out some vintage book page and maybe we'll do some metallic purple paint on the book page and cut it out into the shapes of flowers. And then I opened my thing with my book page in and found a bunch of cleanup pages from what I was using. This is probably Distress Mica Spray Stains. This I know is a Lindsay Stamping Gang because I know it looks brown, but if the light hits it just right, there's purple metallic in it. This is probably Distress Spritz maybe. And this is just some purple ink that got cleaned up, so there's no metallic in that. But I already got purple metallic vintage book page, so we're gonna cut those into flowers. But first we need to cover our playing card, and I pulled out a napkin. It's got this leaf design on it that I thought would be good for going as our base for the flowers. Let's see. This one's a little tricky to get apart, but you want to, with your napkins, because they're going to be multi-layered, peel them apart. Otherwise, you'll end up just gluing like the base piece on and not the top, and it just ends up making a mess. If you have some trouble getting it off, you can always take a piece of tape to the back and rip, and it'll rip the back piece, and that should help with getting it off. I generally don't have to resort to that. I can usually get it off just by getting the pieces to separate at a corner and then pulling. I am gonna just tear a section off, and I know this is bigger than what I need, so I'm not too worried about how neatly I'm tearing it. You can use a water brush to wet it. That makes tearing a bit easier, but like I said, I knew this is going to have way more than I need, so I was like, I can just tear it. All right, let's grab some. I am going to use Matte Medium by Liquitex. It's what I like to use for these sorts of things. You can use whatever kind of liquid glue you like. You could also conceivably use glue stick, but if you're going to use glue stick, make sure you put the glue on the playing card and not to your napkin, or you're just going to rip your napkin. I'm going to use a little silicone brush because, once again, I think what happens is I use my collage brush for this challenge each week, take it into my bathroom to clean it, and then leave it there. And so when I go to use it again for the next week, it's still sitting in my bathroom. Yeah, I'll admit to the fact that I just kind of leave it sitting with my other craft supplies that are cleaned off and sitting there drying. It's a bad habit. All right, I got that coated. Let's stick this on like so. And I am going to add a layer on top to kind of seal it on and make sure it's glued down. And I'm going to start from the middle and pull out to the edges. And I'm going to try not to go over it repeatedly, because if you've watched past videos, that's how you end up tearing your napkin. Because this is very delicate until the glue dries on it. All right, I'm going to set this aside to dry. The thing about the silicone spatula is you can just let the glue dry on it and then peel off the dried glue later. Kind of reminiscent of when I was a kid and I'd put glue on my hands to peel off the glue. Yeah, pretty much that. Okay, let's die cut some flowers. So I'm gonna grab my Sizzix Sidekick because we're gonna be using some smaller flowers. And I've got, these are dies by Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's bunches of flowers and bunches of flowers too. And so we're going to use that to cut out some flowers from our paper. And I am just going to tear a piece off so that it'll fit through the sidekick. Grab some cutting plates, stick my paper down, and do some. I can never get that thing to suction cup. So there we go. We got flowers. All right, that one's kind of sticking, so I'm just going to use my pokey tool to pop it up. And I am going to go ahead and die cut out a whole bunch more purple flowers, and then I will be back. While this was drying, I planned out my flowers, so that's kind of the arrangement we're going for. So let's start by trimming off our excess napkin. And for our flowers, I've got a flower shaping mat. So what we're gonna do is you need a couple ball styluses, and I'm gonna take my first flower. I'm going to flip over the flowers. For this one, I'll use the bigger one, and I'm just gonna shape the petals with the stylus, and then when you flip it over, you just take this one and do that, and now our flowers have dimension. Now for this one, I mixed it up and used 2 of one shape and 1 of a different shape. So we'll see how that looks once we get everything shaped. And then we'll layer up our flower. Just gonna put a dot in the center. And for this one, I used all the same shape, but I changed the center one, its color. So I went with a different paper for that one. Now, if you don't have like a foam pad for doing this, but you do have old mouse pad, you could do it on that as well. For a couple of them, I'm just doing 2 flowers. Uh-oh. We lost a petal. Uh-oh. We lost 2 petals. This is antique book page. It's very fragile. It is apparently not loving being shaped. Now I plan on using some ribbon for our stems. And normally I use Fabri-Tac for this for doing ribbon, but given how thin this ribbon is, I'm just gonna go with my art glitter glue, because that will in fact hold ribbon. It just usually doesn't grab as quickly as Fabri-Tac. Things up a little bit and use some of this for that flower in the center. A piece of this across the bottom just to get our corners nice and, or our bottom nice and neat. Let's do that. Now I need some gems for the center of the flowers. All right, so I found some gems. This is a set that I got off of Amazon. I think it's for like doing like diamond dots. But I just thought those were kind of cool, so I picked that up to use as embellishments. Apparently, I can't count because I'm short. Oh no, here it is. It's like a short one. All right, I think I'm gonna call this one done. I really like it. It's very springy and it makes me happy. I do kind of want to trim the rounded corners, but I also don't want to mess it up. So I think I'm gonna just leave it. I need to go grab a piece of coffee dyed paper to write our prompts on to glue to the back. So let me go get that and I'll be right back. All right, so let's fill in our piece to go on the back and our printout. And it's February 21st when I'm filming this. go. Week 8's done. Let me give you a closer look. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting!